Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. We are baking again this week and I'm super excited because I'm making one of my favorite things, which is orange scones. If you've ever been to Panera Bread, they sell orange scones there, and this recipe is supposed to be a copycat recipe. So this should be fun. I've made these a couple times before. I haven't really perfected it yet, but I'm super excited because they end up tasting really yummy. So what we're gonna need today is orange juice, milk. I'm using soy milk because I am allergic to dairy. I'm using soy milk because I'm allergic to dairy. Baking powder, salt, vanilla extract, orange extract, powdered sugar, granulated sugar, flour, an orange or two, 2 eggs, 4 ounces of cream cheese, and 6 tablespoons of butter. So it takes quite a few ingredients for this recipe. I'll go ahead and move everything back out of the way. The first thing we're going to want to do is get a smaller bowl. We're going to put our granulated sugar and orange zest into a bowl, and also preheat our oven to 425. 1/4 a cup of granulated sugar. And then zest from a large orange. This recipe requires zest from a large orange twice for the icing as well as the scones, but I only use 1 orange. I'm just gonna kind of use this, I messed up, this peeler to zest it. Feel free to judge me, but it works. Just don't actually peel it because then you're just gonna get whole chunks. Though for this part, it's okay if they're a little larger because we're going to be mixing the sugar and the orange zest together with our fingers. And when I do that, I tear up the orange zest a little bit more. So, no worries for that. All right, that's about half the orange. I personally don't like zest very much, so that's why I'm only using 1 orange. And like I said, I'm just gonna tear this up with my fingers more. Don't worry, my hands are clean. You'll want your hands to be clean for this. Or not if you don't care about germs, I suppose. And we're just gonna combine the sugar and the orange zest. All right, that looks like it's combined pretty well. The sugar is all orange. So I'm gonna wash my hands and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And we're going to move on to our next step, which is combining the flour, salt, and baking powder. I'm doing this in a separate bowl. You can do this all in one bowl, or you can do it separate like I am. Whatever your preference is for this recipe. Calls for 3 cups of flour. And as you probably know from my past videos, I am not the type to level my things properly. So, I'd probably recommend doing it, but I'm not doing it, so. Now we need 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I wouldn't recommend doing this over your bowl, but I'm doing it anyways. Once again, don't do what I'm doing. Do as I say, not as I do. My salt off to the side. Now we need 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Make sure it's baking powder, not baking soda. And I am actually going to level this. The baking powder and baking soda in recipes is very very specific for a reason. It says to whisk all of your dry ingredients together, and I'm not trying to be relatable, but I'm going to use a fork. I do own a whisk, I just hate cleaning it. Also, just in case you don't have a whisk, now you know you can use a fork. You're welcome. Now I'm going to dump my sugar mixture into my flour mixture. And mix that as well. Now, you're supposed to use a food processor for this next part, but I am going to do it by hand because I do not own a food processor yet somehow. I've wanted to get one for many years, yet here I am, still without. You're gonna put your 2 large eggs into your bowl or food processor if you actually own one. Then you will need 6 tablespoons of butter. It says to use cold butter. My butter is not quite refrigerated temperature, but closer to room temperature. And now 4 ounces of cream cheese. I've always hated opening cream cheese packages. 4 ounces. And my cream cheese is at room temperature. This will be a lot easier if you own a food processor. I highly recommend you use it. And we're gonna combine all of these together. Careful. I believe this is as good as this is going to get for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and combine my wet and dry ingredients together. The recipe calls for 1/3 cup of milk. 1/3 cup of milk. I don't know how I said that just now. Two teaspoons of vanilla extract. I don't typically measure my vanilla, but I'm doing that anyways. Now we need 1 teaspoon of orange extract. Now you're going to want to combine the rest of your wet ingredients that we just put in. And I am going to have to use my hands here, so I'm going to combine this a little bit better with my hands. That way it's not quite this crumbly. And I'm going to make some space really quick because we're going to need to take the dough out so that we can shape it into the scones. So I'll be right back. All right, now it says that we need to move the dough onto a floured surface, but I do not want to make a mess on my counter right now, honestly. So I'm just going to put it on my already prepared baking sheets that have parchment paper on them. But first I'm going to finish combining this a little bit better with my hands, like I said before. Now, what we are going to do is divide this in half. I see a chunk of butter. This does not need to be exact, but you're going to want to get it as close as possible. And now we got to shape 2 6-inch discs. Last time I did this, I actually pulled out a ruler, but this time I am just going to eyeball 6 inches. And you should have something like this. It's about 6 inches. I'm gonna go wash my hands really quick because when I get back we are going to cut the scones out of these discs. Alright, I am back with clean hands and 2 discs on pans with parchment paper, and now we are going to cut these into the scones. The recipe is supposed to make 16 scones, I believe. Let me double check. The recipe is supposed to make 16 scones, so we're going to cut both of the discs into 1/8 like a pizza. Now's your chance to make them larger or smaller or reshape them if you want. Now I'm going to separate You will want to give these some space. They will expand a bit unless you want them to bake together. And now we're going to go ahead and put them in the oven for 15 minutes or until golden brown as the recipe says to, and we'll be right back. All right, I'm back. While your scones are baking, if you are making these at home, make sure you keep an eye on them. Ovens do bake at different rates, especially if you're living in a different area, so just make sure you keep an eye on them. And while those are baking, we're gonna go ahead and make the glaze or the icing for the scones. So here I have another clean bowl. And you'll need orange juice, orange extract, zest, and confectioner's sugar. The orange glaze is super easy. All you need to do is combine these 4 ingredients and mix them together. It will be easier for you to do this if you use a container with a spout on it, like a measuring cup, a large measuring cup. It will be easier for you to pour the glaze over the scones. So we need 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. Now we need 4 tablespoons of orange juice. Do this carefully. 2, 3, 4. As well as 1 teaspoon of orange extract. I'm not filling this tablespoon up. I'm just putting a teaspoon into the tablespoon. I promise that wasn't actually a full. There we go. I did not fill the entire tablespoon, I promise. That was probably a little over a teaspoon, but I did not fill it all the way, I promise. Now you're gonna wanna add your zest in as well if you want zest in your glaze. I'm going to put zest in here. I'm gonna be very careful. All right, our glaze is done. It smells really good. I can't wait to try some for the 3rd time, since this is the 3rd time I'm making them. I'm gonna go ahead and wait for the scones to bake, and I will be back when they are ready so that we can glaze them. All right, I am back. The scones are baked and they have had some time to cool, so I'm not burning myself over here. And I'm gonna go ahead and glaze these. I'm not gonna glaze them all on camera, that'd be a little boring. I don't even know if the camera's gonna, oh, I poured too much out. This is why I said if you have something with like a spout on it, it'll be easier to drizzle the glaze over. All right, now that all the scones are glazed and cooled, I'm gonna try one on camera, even though I've had these before. They may have turned out differently this time, who knows? All right, I'm trying to eat it with a fork, but I don't recommend that. It's gonna just crumble into pieces. All right, I think I improved because since I'm doing this on camera for you guys, I made them more accurately than I normally do. Sometimes I like to skip some ingredients or steps and slack a little bit, you know, cut some corners. They're still very good. And you can always reheat them if you like your scones warm. Thank you guys for watching, bye! Okay.